It just makes me think that because the closest example that comes to mind is like, going back to like our grandparents and great grandparents and stuff like that, as far as immigrating into New York and like, the whole thing with like our grandfather on our mom's side, like what I've always heard my whole life was that like, his father spoke Spanish, but like they didn't want that passing down.
Right.
Which is why
which
is why our grandfather doesn't speak Spanish, which to me was always a shame. You know what I mean?
It is a shame. That was kind of with Italians with Italians and Sicilians, when like during World War II, there were so many Italian Americans who wanted to sign up for the army because they wanted to prove that they were American now, because they wanted to prove that they have assimilated and they've let their culture behind them. And especially since we were going to war against Italy, they kind of wanted to prove that,
that would be the ultimate.
I don't have loyalty to, our native country. I have loyalty to this country.
Yeah.
It's a relatable movie to, if you're not so far away removed from like your immigrant,
which obviously we're
totally kind of are. If you're an American and your family came here more recently, I say this was probably a very relatable movie.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me think of. I've always heard that our whole life. That's why Spanish and Italian got stamped out.
Yeah.
Which I always wish that hadn't been the case. Even if it didn't make its way down to us, because we're really fourth generation removed.
Right.
But for like our grandparents, that was always like.
I know it is kind of a.
But that's how it was, man.
Yeah. It is, and our great grandparents were immigrants. They weren't refugees, and refugees, there's even more restrictions on them.
Yeah, for sure.
When they first go into like the house, they're like, you should be lucky because usually it would be half the size and twice as many people, and it's kind of like this just constant reminder of like, you should be grateful. You should be grateful. We're giving you barely anything, but you should be grateful. There's also the Matt Smith character. So Matt Smith is like their immigration officer. I don't know if you know that actor at all.
He looked familiar. The guy in the beginning or the guy who's throughout. The guy who comes to the house.
Who's throughout, always comes, who's kind of like, basically trying to help them a bit, but also kind of has a job to do.
Yes.
That actor's name is Matt Smith. He's like the only really like known actor in the entire movie.
What's his deal? He's English?
He's English, so he played, he was Doctor Who. I don't know if you know that show at all.
Yeah,
but
well, it's a remake. But
yeah. Pretty much all the characters are English. Remy Weeks grew up in London.
Is Remy Weeks African?
No, he was born in London.
Is he from Africa?
Oh, well, I
descent?
guess that, he has an African background. But no, he grew up in London. Besides, the only person out of the main cast who's from Africa is the wife, who's that actress is from Nigeria, but everybody else just is from London, basically.
Shout out to Remy from Gorillaz, who's also a guy named Remy from London.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's always, I think it's always cool when like a small international film kind of like gains success.